The romantic image of railroads has attracted more than one model railroader into the hobby. But right now I need everybody to do something that's very, very difficult. Let's forget about romance. I want you to forget about the whole romantic notion of railroads because I want to talk about the purpose of a railroad. Now, if you are building a model that is to sit underneath a train, that's a display model. And that's the purpose. It doesn't need any higher function than that. It just needs to be scenic well and everything look right and operate correctly, and you're good to go. But if you're wanting to make a believable railroad on your model, you have to stop looking at it from the image of romance and stop looking at it from the perspective of it's a model. We need to look at it from a railroad's perspective. And then how do we incorporate that into a model? So let's say we have a short line that's just a little industrial thing, several industries served by one little locomotive, and that's it, and it interchanges with a larger railroad. Well, what we can do is we can take that, go ahead and do the interchange, but take that larger railroad and have it go off to a hidden staging area. Now that larger railroad connects with the rest of the world, giving a purpose to the railroad. See, it's not enough to just bring in empties or loads and take out the other. It's enough that it's what we have to do is we have to show where that's going, and by taking it off the layout, we are taking that cargo to the rest of the world and giving our model a purpose. So staging for me is key, whether it's a fiddle yard, a layover track, a staging yard. There are all three different names for the same thing, but at the same time, they all serve different purposes. A fiddle yard is specifically for fiddling with the trains. In the United States, we would call that a staging yard, but staging yard can also be used to just bring a train in, let it sit a bit, and then take it out. The thing is that's a layover yard. They have different purposes, and we muddle up the names to the point, so whether it's staging or layover, I'm going to just assume that it's all the same. For me, if I'm going to mess with the trains, that's staging, and if I'm going to be hands-off, that's layover. So how would this affect me with my railroad? Well, F&C Timber is going to be a narrow gauge railroad, so we want to take that narrow gauge railroad and pick up the logs, take them down to the sawmill. Sawmill does its thing, and they haul over the finished lumber over to the Northwestern Pacific interchange, and Northwestern Pacific takes them off to the larger part of the world. Plus, there's a whole plethora of companies there in a small industrial complex. So we got our purpose. It's not just the making of the money, but we are interchanging this with larger things. So we only have to represent the one side. We could have a furniture maker, and now we have delivering the logs to the sawmill, and then loading up the lumber and delivering that to the furniture, and then delivering the furniture to, the consumer, which is off layout. There's only so much you can do. And not all the lumber is going to go there. I mean, it'd be a small furniture store. I should put a furniture store on my layout. That's a heck of an idea. So, I guess what I'm saying is, if you got an industry on your layout, what purpose does it serve? Who is it delivering to? If you're mining coal, why not have it deliver it to a power plant? Of course, you don't have to deliver all the coal to the power plant, but, when you're starting out, you got a small layout, that's a really good place to start, is something like that, where it is A and B. And there's all sorts of tricks you can do with that. But I just wanted to leave you with the ideas. Forget the romance. Figure out how the railroad, not the model, but the railroad you're building, is going to make its money. Once you got that, get romantic as you want. It'll be completely believable. Coming up, standards and practices, but we're going to do something a little different. We're splitting her into 2 parts, guys. I'm going to be doing history and some book recommendations before we actually do the talking head video. And as you can see behind me, I have started working on bench work. Trust me, I'll get to that. There's just so much to cover on the design process and philosophy. This is all stuff that I went through. So standards and practices. Until next time. This is a really good thing because it allows us to get. And this is a really good thing because oh God, I'm just this all up. Okay, I'm going to start over. I'm going to start all the way over.
This has been a Fish Chips production.